All right, we're here for a first show of Zach and Steve, or Zach and Steve Football. It's a new channel. We are fans of opposing teams, Chelsea and Liverpool, and we had just the idea to sort of talk through every week what happened in our games. So I'm going to make Steve watch Chelsea games. I already watch Liverpool games when I can, but I'm going to make sure I watch them all, and sort of talk through highlights from the perspective of a fan or super fan, and from the perspective of a non-fan or rival, opponent, whatever.
Hater.
Hater, you can say. I don't know. Do you see yourself as a Chelsea hater?
Definitely, definitely. I noticed that you don't even have a Chelsea scarf or anything, but when I see how much you guys have spent on players over the last 2 years, I understand all the resources went just by everybody possible. So I get it.
Yeah, I might buy one of the new jerseys. It should fund one more player. It's quite expensive these days, but yeah, we'll see. Yeah, so we want to talk about the perspectives of the games that just happened from those two very different perspectives together. Figured it gives extra insight, and then also talk about the games upcoming. So after this discussion about the Chelsea Liverpool match, first of the season, we will talk about Chelsea versus Newcastle and Liverpool versus Arsenal, which luckily are really big matches to kick off with. So it's going to be fun. So to jump into it, we just had the Liverpool Chelsea match at Anfield. I'll let you get rolling after. I'll just make one just to kick it off. I thought it was horrible that Salah celebrated after his goal. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, I just saw a discussion on Men in Blazers about that. Like, oh, was it okay? It was like, what's the time limit? I'm like, what? And they were like, he hasn't played for Chelsea in 11 years. I'm like, I feel like the time limit is like 1 year. I like 1 year. 1 year, and I don't even care if they celebrate, but if they're going to be respectful and not celebrate when they've scored on a former team, I think 1 year and then you celebrate away, right? I don't know. You have any
Well,
thoughts?
he scored them before, and I know he did a rip from the right side of the pitch, a real pile driver, and I can't remember if he celebrated in that one, but it's definitely been enough time, and it wasn't like they built him up and he emerged there and he has these fond memories there. He's just like Kevin De Bruyne. They didn't fit in a Mourinho system, and now he's there to dominate and become a legend.
Yeah, so on a serious note, one of the big takeaways for me is, like many weekends, Salah's just class. The guy is so good. He's a beauty to watch. His touch on the ball, his turns, his cross to Curtis Jones for the second goal was just beauty, pure beauty, and of course scored the penalty as well. Very solid take. I think Sanchez had saved the previous two penalties that he was in goal for. He's a great penalty keeper, but I think Salah threw him the wrong way. I think he's psyched because he doesn't guess, Sanchez. So I think he just got thrown the wrong way by Salah's run up, and then Salah pounded it in the net. So just great. Salah's. I don't like Liverpool. I'm not a fan, but I am a fan of Salah. He's one of the players I just would watch any day of the week. He's a beauty.
So a couple of things from the Liverpool perspective on that. First of all, Salah is absolutely our star and our main man. He is entering the latter stages of his career. He wants supposedly a mega money, potentially 3-year contract, and most Liverpool fans are like, whatever, just get it done, which says everything. We think that he wants to break records and stay with us to do that. The thing we were looking at, I hope, is at the Nottingham Forest game, which was the first game after the international break, the only game that we lost, he did not look like he should have been playing on the pitch. I've never seen a player like...
Oh, yeah.
One of the frustrating things about football is you're only as strong as your weakest link, because if there's one guy who's always giving the ball away, always stopping momentum, a ball stopper, it's just depressing. It gives it, and that's what it was. Now, he's Mr. Consistent, but in that game, I think himself, Slot, everybody learned. And so we were all delighted to see him come back early from the international break this time. And look, you could see in the first 10 minutes, this guy's sharp. And it's going to be a nightmare. If everybody's average and that guy's sharp, it's going to be a nightmare for the other team. So that's kind of the perspective. And then from a penalty thing, there's a really interesting dynamic going on because I don't know if Soboslai's ever missed a penalty.
Ooh.
And so we've got a penalty guy in our team that is beyond ultra confident, super ball striker. Before he took that penalty, I think Salah was 34 of 41. So
Yeah, I think I heard that
big
stat.
difference between 34 of 41 and Soboslai. But hey, he's our team leader. It builds his confidence. Whatever makes him happy and makes him stay, I get it. Let him take it. So
But joking aside, do you think there is a little bit extra motivation for him when he plays Chelsea because he had that short stint there? Do you think he is just slightly more eager to score to prove himself, or you think it doesn't make a difference at this
I
point?
don't think so. It's been too long.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I forgot one of my points later on in my list of points to make was that I really think he's too old. He needs to retire now. Move to
Yeah.
Saudi. I think he really needs to move over to Saudi. I mean, it doesn't matter what he looks like, how he plays. He needs to leave. He's
All the
No,
haters leave, bro. They're hate watching. They're hate watching our games. They're hate watching our transfer windows. You know how much crap I heard about transfer window? Where are the transfer window haters? They were like, "Well, Liverpool hasn't signed anybody," and they were just so happy all summer. Now it's like 3 goals conceded. 2 of them were from defensive mistakes, like Kanate. Getting the back. You hear good line, good line. It was the opposite of that for that step.
Well, it's funny too. I think there's a very hard period in any male athlete's life from around 28 to about 32, where everything starts to be a little bit slower, a little bit like you think you're going to be able to do something like you've always done it, and you can't quite. And I think a lot of players, their careers basically end around that time if they're not top tier, and even top tier ones can struggle to get through that period. Once you can get through it, you've developed other skills, other techniques. Even the Men in Blazers show, which is a great show, they were just referencing it, Michael Jordan, how he developed certain fade away, whatever shooting techniques to develop, to adapt. All of these top athletes, I watch a lot of tennis, Djokovic, Nadal, they adapted, they transformed their games to keep winning. I don't know if Salah has had to do that. I heard a little bit of talk about different things he's improved on to get better, a more varied game. But I sort of feel like he also just looks like he hasn't hit that period. He's so fit, he's so sharp that I'm not sure if and just his play style in general doesn't rely. I mean, it's just such a finesse class game that he has.
With him, it's not so much about his play style relying. It's just that when he was younger, he literally would outrun people all the time, and he would get goals from that. So the Klopp system was very demanding. I think Slot's very demanding, but I think we can all see that Klopp's system was even more demanding. What has happened, the real story of what's happened with Salah that I think will be the most painful and disappointing with him is his underperforming in Champions League, particularly against Real Madrid, in super long, everybody's complaining about it, drawn out Premier League seasons. So he's one of the last final, and this is a big, I take it personally, dude, because they deserved more during the Klopp era. The last time we fought Real Madrid, we dominated. You can see from a system perspective, we got way more shots, blah, blah, blah. But we were dead. They were like zombies. And it was like, we played a long season. We just lost the league by 1 point, which is emotionally, unthinkably deflating to do against a cheating team for the second time. And him and Mane, our 2 best African players, had been duking it out at AFCON. They come back from that. Mane's won AFCON. Salah's lost. They didn't really like each other. Everybody kind of knows that. They had a professional relationship. They look like shell. And so that's brutal. And then Real Madrid came into that final having wrapped up their league 3 weeks prior. So that's completely, they're chilling. They're Ancelotti, we're Real Madrid, we're fine. And then Courtois was their man of the match, which tells you everything. I hate that.
Yeah, I was just watching the ESPN FC show from last night, and I think it might have been Stevie Nichols saying, like every team every team he thinks should prioritize their league first, And he's like, well, except for Real Madrid. Real Madrid is the one team that prioritizes Champions League first, and that's who they are. That works for
That
them.
is their league.
That is, yeah. And I mean, I watch a lot of La Liga. You got the La Liga ball here.
Hmm.
They will phone it in a lot of matches and just rely on quality of one or two superstars to win the game for them, or even they'll lose games and just not be phased because they're going to come out one or two with Barcelona, and really it's like they show up for Champions League. But they also have such a deep bench; they can rotate so much. I don't know, but anyway, let's not go into deep history. Let's get back to the game. I thought that was one of the standout points, which is Salah's quality uh,
Yep.
was a difference maker, as well as Curtis Jones's quality. And I won't talk much about. I'll leave that to you. But and I should say some things about. We'll get to what Chelsea did well, but Liverpool won, so we'll give them the props. But Jones, one of the things with Jones and just Liverpool overall was you really shut down Cole Palmer quickly, and he wasn't ready for it because he's obviously been a star for a while now. He's scored so many goals in the last season that a lot of teams treat him seriously.
Hmm.
But this is the first game I think I saw where every time the ball was going to him, he got clobbered. He got two guys were always near him to shut him down. One to press right on him, get right on him, and one nearby in case he got around them. And I also think Curtis Jones, just he knows him. They grew up together. They've played together for a long time, same age. So when you know someone that well, you know their moves.
Hmm.
And he read Cole Palmer's typical like cut moves and whatnot perfectly, and just really shut him down. And I think Palmer, which you never see, he was rushing things. He was trying to speed up his natural pace, and at times he was too slow because he wasn't ready for that press, and then he was a little too rushed. One of those shots he made, he was too rushed. He tried to quickly get it off instead of playing his normal cold Palmer way. But I think that was a testament to Curtis Jones and just the system in general, where it was like there's not like there's always got to be a couple of guys around him
Yeah.
so that he's invisible, and he was basically invisible. I mean, he had a couple of chances that and of course he would have expected to score, but he was shut down pretty dramatically.
Yeah, the role that Cole Palmer plays, and I like Cole Palmer. I think he's very exciting. I think he's somebody that makes the league better. The role that he plays, that talisman, go where it's a very difficult role to stop because it's like you got this team that's really physical, pretty technical, all over the pitch. They can hurt you a bunch of different ways. Talking about Chelsea, and then you've got this one guy who's given license to pop up wherever he wants to and make crap happen, and it's impossible to guard people like that. Trent has played like that for us sometimes. You can see that. Kevin De Bruyne is obviously the main one. I think over the last decade that's done that. Odegaard's a pretender. He cannot do that, and that's why he'll never be highly rated. He's a good cam. Give it up, Arsenal fans. Cole Palmer is the real deal, and I think psychologically, when you're a team and you're having so much success through him, even though the team has different ways of hurting you, when as a team you're used to everything kind of going through Cole Palmer, and now that outlet it's reduced to like 92%. Like I don't think any chances created. Like Caicedo was creating chances yesterday consistently,
Yeah.
dangerous chances, which is amazing. He was stepping up to fill that role. It says a lot about him as a player. He's very annoying to me, but he got booed every single time he got the ball. I don't know if you heard that, but Cole Palmer, I think for Chelsea, when you've got a guy who's just doing so well and then he's non-existent, it's like, whoa, how it kind of takes you a second to do it. So I think
Yeah.
Chelsea's a very good team. I think they will be limited by their manager and
Oh
their
my. He's
yes,
throwing shots now. Oh, I don't think so at all.
ceiling. I think
I
they're
don't think so at all.
I
Maresca
don't
has
think
been
they'll win any
highly adapting and brilliant, man. But we'll leave that for another. I would with Caicedo. I just correct the record for Liverpool fans. He wanted to go to Chelsea for months, like Chelsea was in communication with him for months,
yeah.
and then Liverpool came in like all of a sudden. I don't know if he was playing for more money or if it was just it dragged on so long. Liverpool thought maybe we'll get him, but
Yeah.
he said he was planning to go to Chelsea all the
And I
way.
believe that. I don't feel betrayed. I don't think
Yeah,
he led
I
us.
understand. I would be pissed. Chelsea fans would do the same if like they almost got someone.
Well, yeah, for me, the only anger that I have over it, it isn't really towards him. It's towards the fact, what are Liverpool known for? Not splurging. So
Yeah,
for to
yeah.
be a Liverpool fan and sit there and like we don't do anything, and then out of nowhere, 100 million plus offer, and then have
Yeah.
the guy be like, whatever. It's like, are you kidding? We never offer that for people.
Yeah,
So
and look,
that kind
I
of
got
hurt.
empathy for you guys. I understand. Liverpool as a city is not the draw London is. Everybody knows that. London is London. Like everybody wants to be in London if they have the chance. So I think that hurts and that makes it harder for you guys to get when it's a tight 50-50 race with someone.
Yeah.
Just
And we're not going to match the
the
wages. We're
city
not.
is gonna be the edge for some people who want to live in London. But anyway, and I mean Chelsea's got a yeah kind of certain history that appeals to some people. Liverpool's got a history that appeals to others. But anyway, yeah, Caicedo, that man is a destroyer because of the role he plays. He's often underrated or underseen. Chelsea fans who watch week in week out, like he is. Some people think he's the player of the year so far, even despite Palmer's numbers. But he's up there. He's always up there as one of the potential man of the match. He
Yeah.
comes in. He's so tough. He's that kind of strong, slightly nasty player that you love to have on your team, but you never want to play against.
Yeah.
He comes in and he breaks people. He's like a brick house,
Yeah.
and then he holds the ball. He holds it well. He's not elegant. He's not smooth, but he holds the ball well and then gets these very straight, direct passes off when he has the chance. And he did. I think yesterday was his best day for passing, and again because they shut down Cole Palmer so much.
Yeah.
And also Enzo was out. Lavia was playing instead.
Yeah.
And
Another punk that turned us down because we
dude,
went.
Lavia's touch, you have to say that touch is unbelievable. He is so smooth on the ball.
Yes. Yeah, and he was the one when we're working so hard to deny space to Palmer, there's going to be space left that normally there wouldn't be. And so Lavia he was getting the space, he was getting the joy. But I don't know if anybody else in your team would have had the joy they had if Cole Palmer wasn't playing. I think all of that space was created by the fact that we always had two or three people purposely shifted over just to deny that one player, which I think it was.
I actually think it was two. I think you shut down two players in a similar way. I don't know how much, just from me watching every Chelsea match and seeing how we do stuff. I think I already told you, but you did the same thing to Jackson.
Oh,
Jackson is an absolute playmaker. Like he's so underrated for what he does. He's got so much pace. He runs so deep, and then he can so easily spin a defender,
right.
or play a 1-2 or lay off the ball. He's the best in the league at that, without a doubt.
Yeah, I don't think you can shut him down. The thing
But I think you did. I think you did the same kind of thing to Jackson that you did to Palmer. No, he didn't have an inch, and you always had a couple of. You played such a tight midfield. You played such a tight like defense.
Sure.
That,
Yeah, very narrow.
that he always had too many people around him as well.
Yeah.
But I don't know how many people know, but apparently like 6 years ago, he was still playing barefoot in Senegal.
Yeah.
He didn't come through academies, so
No,
sometimes he doesn't have the refinement of an academy player, like most of these guys are. But he knows how to spin and how to roll and how to use his pace to just beat people, and he does that game in and game out, even if he doesn't score. And he was also extremely quiet, like invisible. Like to have him and Palmer, our two biggest kind of playmakers in the attacking third, invisible. I was like, man, this Liverpool defense is as good as as good as we feared it was.
Well, the thing is, we played a narrow 4-2-3-1, and old school Liverpool fans, by old school I mean 2004 on, they would be familiar with Rafa Benitez. He played a 4-2-3-1, and our team knew how to defend, and it was getting that. Benitez is big on the balance between defense and attack, and kind of picking it. Yesterday, that was the most defensive I've seen us play, and without being punks that have to park the bus like Arsenal.
Right.
We play defense the right way. We have good players. We don't need to park a bus and play negative football that nobody would want to watch. We can just play a little more narrow and focus on defense a little bit. Trent, play right back today. Don't be Kevin De Bruyne today. And that's what you saw again and again and again. Now, for me, you're talking about Jackson being shut down. For me, as a striker, Jackson had a good game. Because if you get your goal,
Yeah.
like that's in a game like that, if you're a striker and you get two or three chances and you get your goal, so he
Well,
is terrifying for teams.
the
You can't.
funny thing is, it's the opposite. Like normally he does so much, he creates so much, he's such a threat, and he might score, it might not. And now he played the traditional striker role. He got one chance and he scored it. And it's like it's the thing that people always criticize him for. He's not a true striker. He doesn't have. And yesterday, I mean the game, he was your typical striker who gets one chance and scores the goal. But he wasn't his typical Nico Jackson, where he's creating havoc for the other team. And he's got in 8 games 5 goals and 3 assists. So he's doing well.
You cannot defend somebody who is that fast and knows how to spin in behind. It is indefensible. All you can do is try to shut down the supply that he's getting. And we shut down the supply from Palmer, which normally he's getting a lot from. So the supply had to come from somewhere else. And Caicedo jumped in. Now, about Caicedo, for me, in terms of his athleticism and mobility, it's Conte-esque. It's very annoying. And he's very physical. But I have to highlight, him and Gravenberch had a good battle yesterday. Now, I haven't deep dived into that, but I think we all know Caicedo. When Liverpool went in for Caicedo, the chats that I'm in were like, crap, Liverpool won the title. That's what they said, because they knew we needed a specialist number 6, and if we got him, we won the title. But if you look at that game yesterday, I don't think you'd be like, oh yeah, he's way better than Gravenberch. I think you could see they were spinning each other, and there was a respect built on that. Like, they're helping each other up. Like, dude, you're legit. Like, you could see the respect. And also, I think it's just a nice touch. You can see the obviously good relationship McAllister has with former midfield partner Caicedo at Brighton. So I have a lot of respect for that.
Well, Caicedo, I mean, he goes on the field, he's in battle. Like I mean, like I said, if I was playing against him, I would hate him because he puts extra on every tackle, and he sometimes is talking smack. I think he actually talked smack to one of your guys after he went down. I forget who it was, but he's just tough. I mean, he's just like, as a former midfielder, he's that player you just don't want to be near, because if he gets that second on you, he's going to crush you. He's not going to just go for the ball. He's going to crush you while getting the ball. So he's really a force. He wins. He's like leads the league in tackles, I think, or something. But he's just overall he's a ground duel monster. But Gravenberch, I thought he and Gravenberch had a great battle, and I think sort of how Palmer was beaten by Jones in this one, and will learn from it and come back better next match. I think Gravenberch will come back more ready for Caicedo next time at Stamford Bridge. But the one tactical
best he's had by far. Like, he's still got a couple of his classic Gravenberch spins off, which is insane. I think he's the only player in the league doing that every game.
It's like a basketball move.
It's unstoppable, and he has a big frame, and then he ghosts by people so fast. I don't know if I sent it to you, but there was one play where he spun and he took Caicedo and Lavia out of the play.
I remember, yeah.
Like, bro, we are watching an emerging world-class player, like offensively too, like not just because when you're able to spin and run and drive like that.
Well, that's the thing that sort of blows my mind, because those kind of players, if they're willing and able to do that, to just drive up the field real quick after they make that, that's such a bigger threat. It's such a bigger benefit to the team. And it's surprising. Palmer does that. Palmer's not the same player, but Palmer, he spins a guy and he uses long legs. He doesn't look like he's sprinting, but he uses long legs to like leap up the field real quick. And that creates a lot of our chances. And Gravenberch, I see doing that. And I've seen people say he's the surprise of the season so far across the league. And I think I agree with that. I think I also think he's got a lot of improvement coming. Like, I think he's just learning his trade in that way, and I think he's going to get a lot more dangerous. So I love the guy.
Sorry to cut you off. We haven't seen a midfielder like that since, in my opinion, Yaya Toure for Manchester City. This is a very dangerous. Like, I feel that, and to think this guy was, with Liverpool. I don't know if you were following the Zubimendi saga, but like apparently they showed him a
Yeah.
video of the Basque Mountains, and like they super guilt tripped him to stay. And so it's this famous thing. I think I
Yeah.
put in a chat the other day, like we were one mountain range away from Gravenberch being benched. So
Yeah.
that's what's so cool and exciting is
Yeah.
that to build one of these super teams, you've got to have two or three people that are waiting right there on the bench, kind of like Gakpo is right now, kind of like Jones has been most of the season. And Gravenberch would have been that guy. He would have been the guy waiting on the bench to get his chance. And because of that Zubimendi falling through, he got his chance and he's freaking taking it. And he's doing it for Netherlands too. So he's evolved. Like if you're a Pokemon guy, he has evolved into his final form, and watch out. It's for real. For us, this game was a bigger game, I think, for us than for you
Yeah.
in terms of what it makes people think about our team. We had a fairly easy schedule.
Yep. Yep.
You were our first real test. So after yesterday, and again, Diaz started on the bench. McAllister started on the bench. Allison is injured. So 3 of our 11 aren't there, and it's international break, and we come out and do that.
Yeah. Two things with that bench. So I thought if Diaz was just ready to terrorize us, you could see it in his face, and I was like, if he had started, this game might have been a lot more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
But he came out looking to terrorize. He's having a phenomenal season. We talked about this a little bit before, and I'll let you talk about more. But as McAllister's amazing player, wonderful, amazing player, but Curtis Jones was a difference maker today, even more than Salah. And I think if McAllister had played instead of Jones, we might have got a point or more. But Jones just absolutely bossed it on defense with Palmer, and then just brilliant couple of decisions in the attacking third to get 2 goals basically. So what do you want to say about Curtis Jones? I mean, yeah, but again, it's just that opportunity of the luck of the draw. McAllister coming back from international break, Curtis Jones gets the start,
Yeah.
is on a super high from having a baby, and just performs like match of his life. So I don't know, but what do you want to say about him?
Yeah. Obviously, a long-term fan of Curtis Jones in FIFA Pro Clubs. My lookalike pro 3 years ago was Curtis Jones all season. Probably the only guy picking a young little guy like that. And so I believed in him and I've hoped in him. And yesterday we saw it. He just had a game that a lot of these midfielders will never have. It was both sides of the ball, tackles left and right. We just talked about how good Caicedo is. So to be doing stuff like that, to be spinning, receiving the ball within 3 players, turning not once, all game, time tackles not once, all game, and then presenting yourself and causing problems in the penalty box of the other team. Now, you got to think, this guy's a Scouser. So he grew up Steven Gerrard, like every single person. And what is Gerrard? Heart to box, engine, heart, constant threat everywhere. So these guys that are Liverpoolians, that are Scouts, they've got the standards. They know what you're expected to do and the heart that you need to give. And yesterday gave it. For me, the thing is injuries. Can he hire whatever personal physio he needs to produce what he produced yesterday as much as he needs to produce it? Side note about McAllister. McAllister's a good player. We don't know what McAllister would have done.
Yeah.
We know Jones wouldn't have played, but McAllister, he's a better passer than Jones. He is a better decision maker. He doesn't hold on to the ball too long. He causes teams problems in a different way than Jones does. Not taking so I don't want to take
No,
anything.
I agree.
He's a nail on
I
starter
don't
for a reason.
I don't know what would have happened, but fact of the matter, you take the player of the match out of the match.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, for
you get
sure.
you get a little more chance, but yeah, and we should just emphasize your last name is Jones also, so
Yeah,
this
yeah.
is one reason and
Way to
you
expose
have a
me.
little bit of he's a little lighter than you, but you have a similar face even. Yeah, well, it was funny. I saw
He's
one
mixed.
show.
He's
One,
mixed. He's not like a white guy.
I feel like it was Sky Sports, and one of the former pros was saying like not really the same, but he's sort of like a Lampard, and then someone was like, or a Gerard would be the more natural comparison, and it was that same point that you just made, which I've heard few people make now probably about Jones and his performance, how it was more of an old school midfielder, just defense and offense
Just
all
do it
over,
all. That's
not so
what midfield
specialized.
is.
Also, 4-4-2. Adam Cleary had a great video on the match and focused on him. And one of the most interesting things in that for me was the heat map had him like around the outside mostly, but he had a couple of yellow patches that were the goal and the foul for the PK.
And
So
he
so he
finished
just he took those opportunities perfectly to crash the box, to get into the box. Um, on the defensive side, I would say Reece James hadn't played since April, I think.
yeah.
I was scared every time he had the ball that he was going to get injured.
Or
What's
he
that?
didn't. Well, I don't know about play, but I know he didn't start since December of 2023.
Oh yeah, so it hasn't even started since then, and he hadn't played since April. In April, he had just come back and then got. I mean, he really has barely played in the last year,
Yeah.
and every time, I guarantee you, every time he touched the ball, every Chelsea fan was like, "Please don't get injured. Please don't get injured." But also, like, how, is he going to be able to perform? And for first of all, his passing is insane, dude. He had some
Yeah.
amazing quick long balls, crosses that were just like, oh my gosh, this is why you forget how good he is. Like he's so good. His defense was great. At the end, the run Curtis Jones made into the box, he was rusty. In my opinion, he was tired and rusty. He came off. He was already going to get subbed off before that happened because it was time to take him off.
Yeah.
But he was just a little bit mentally tired, physically probably as well, a little bit rusty with like timing and positioning. And he tried to step out for the offside trap right as Curtis Jones was passing him. And I mean, he just left the box wide open for Jones to run into. So, I think overall Chelsea fans are happy because they saw, okay, we can go head to head with Liverpool.
Yeah, you're going to kill teams now. You're gonna kill
Liverpool's
teams after that.
clearly in the title chase, number one in the league. We were head to head, something we dominated because we had more possession. We had the
Yeah,
most
you controlled the game.
most touches in your 18 box all of any team this year, and not just had more possession, but had more possession in the attacking half, had more shots. But Liverpool always looked more controlled, more cohesive, and then when you had the ball, much smoother. This was the other top takeaway for me was Liverpool looked so smooth every time you had the ball, and then so well shaped defensively on defense. You were just such a perfectly oiled machine, but really when you get the ball, your attack up the field from back to front is so slick and smooth. And Chelsea can have moments of that, but we also have moments of like players not knowing where to go, one guy trying to be the star, not knowing who the ball should go to at a certain time. There's a lot of cases I can talk about, but when we're in the flow against a team, Chelsea is sort of like that. That's how I see it. When we're not, we get really impatient, we're immature, we don't know what we're doing, we panic a bit, and we don't have that at all. Liverpool just always looks like they're in the flow. And you can see the difference between the number one and fighting for top four. But I think overall we're happy. We went head to head with Liverpool. We had a lot of good things out of it. But at the end of the day, the quality of Salah and Jones, and also Trent on defense, were sort of some key factors.
Yeah, I mean, Darwin came in, worked his socks off, had a crazy through ball. Like, the calmness. Since Klopp came, when I'm watching a Liverpool game, the number one thing that I'm looking for, other than Salah sharpness, which it's usually always there, the number one thing I'm looking for is the passing, even under Klopp. Because if the passing's like boom, 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 click, 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 very comfortable, watch out. Because I know the other stuff is there. I know the quality finishing is there. I know the
But it
press.
always looks like that with Liverpool, no?
Right. So that's my point. So the one thing that I was always looking for, and especially last year where we'd concede the first goal and then we'd start to have it, the one thing I'd always look for to know, and the year where we broke like every record when we won the title, we had it like all year. We had the passing all year. But that is Slot's thing. So the thing I was looking for, that is his thing. So like I was slated in my chats because the first Premier League game, which was not an easy game, it's against a little team that got promoted. We had to make a CB sub at halftime because we were getting trouble was being caused. That first game, I saw control and passing like I've never seen. And I was like, it's over. It's over. And people are like, oh, one game, blah, blah, blah. Well, here we are, best start of any Liverpool manager ever, 10 out of 11. It's because the players, they're not going to lose their ability to pass, their ability to shoot, their ability to press. What comes from the coach? Their system and how they play. What is their attitude like? So that's what I was looking at in that first game. It's like, oh, this guy's just starting. The thing is, the personality for me of a coach, of a leader, it matters so much. And it's almost like if you could, and Slot, he's not like Klopp. Klopp's like, I will beat you up. I'm 6'4". I will beat you up. And then his teams would beat you up. Not physically, but with football, without pressure. Boom. Slot is not like that. Slot is more like a Pep. He's a mastermind. He's going to outthink you. And his team is going to play away that you're like, what the frick? I don't even know where to start with this guy. And then it's very data-driven, and it can adapt it. And Slot is more like that. It's very refreshing. Because to get to that next level, that's, in my opinion, the Klopp way. What is the Klopp way good for? It's good for helping a team achieve more than they ever did. It is good for helping an underdog team. Because
Mighty Ducks coach.
But once you're there, once you're at that super team level, if it's going to be sustainable, you need, and that's what I think we're seeing now.
When you were saying about his 6'4" guys are going to beat you up, immediately what came to mind was the situation last year where I think he scored a goal and he ran over and he's like talking smack to the third referee and pulls his hamstring. Like that's such a it's like Klopp, just like it's so extreme, and sometimes it's all you need. Mighty Ducks coach kind of situation, or it's too much. But I think I've heard multiple Liverpool players say that they feel calmer under Slot's system and on the field, and not, which, I mean, you look at the guy's like calmness,
Calmness personified, yeah, for sure. Well, not every player, all of these guys are talented or they wouldn't play for Liverpool or Chelsea. But not every player is going to be able to meet the physical demands of Klopp. Yeah. You're already playing a ton of games. People are getting injured left and right. Somebody like Reece James, imagine Reece James in a Klopp system. He'd be dead. So injuries are a real thing.
That was sort of a Pochettino.
Exactly.
Was similar kind of approach, and he couldn't stay fit. But what do you? We talked a little bit about Trent, Trent's like basically when it's his job. I've seen other people say this first, I think, but I noticed it watching the game. When it's his job to just defend really well, he gets so much stick for not being a good enough defender. But when it's his job to sit there and defend the heck out of that corner, and it's not his job to run up the field and make the key passes constantly. He did that phenomenally. He really shut down that side. He shut down Sancho. Sancho looked too slow. He was too slow, and Trent was just all over him. Yeah. And again, that's another case where that's the first time Sancho was like absolutely shut down by the extra intensity and press, and Trent just dominated that section. I think I'll let you talk about Trent, but I would say the one area. Well, let's focus on Trent, and then I'll say the one area where I felt like we messed up strategically. But what do you want to say about Trent in that regard, or just generally?
First thing I want to say about Trent is sign the contract. Next thing I want to say.
But what is up with that? What is up with them not being supposedly talked to about these?
They are being talked to. There's three: Salah, Virgil, and Trent. All three of them, and they obviously all depend on each other. So it's kind of a conundrum where it's almost like you got to bring the guys together and say, well, what do we want? Do we all just love Liverpool? Can we stay here, or does somebody really want to leave? Or because it would affect each other. Like if Virgil, I think Virgil's a naturally very loyal guy, very settled, very family guy. Yeah. So I would expect
Virgil's staying.
He's not trying to be a journeyman, just be a Liverpool legend. Salah, I think he wants records. Trent is the one that I think most people would consider a flight risk because he's so ambitious and he's so competitive. And if you have somebody that's so ambitious, so competitive, they're going to want to know that they're playing for a top team. So I actually think every win helps Trent come closer to signing the contract. I think that win yesterday is a huge deal for Trent signing the contract. And I think if Trent, when you're young players that are worth probably the most money, that Real Madrid is a priority target for, or whatever, if he signs, then I think that's huge for everybody else. The thing about him is, even for the England team, he's playing right back. He's not mixing it up, playing in midfield, maybe a CM. It's true. He can pass better than I think anybody in the league except for Kevin De Bruyne, who's significantly past his prime right now. So having the best passer in the league be a right back is still insane. That is still a new concept. Even David Beckham came out recently and said Trent's the one person he looks and he's like, yeah, he can do what I would do. That he makes passes nobody else is even thinking about. So I think when you have somebody like that and the whole game's going through them and they're in midfield and they're coming inside, it really takes up a lot of their RAM in their mind. But when it's like, hey, all you have to do is play right back today, that's easy. I think it's a concentration thing. I think it's very hard to concentrate on being a box-to-box, do it all, on the edge of the box, shooting long shots, taking free kicks, creating the most chances, inverting, outverting. I think that's too much stuff to think about. And then, and perfectly concentrate on defending and never let them slip in behind one time. But when it's like, hey, your job is to prioritize defending today, you're going to see why he won the Premier League, why he won the Champions League. He was the best right back in the world when he won the Champions League. He wouldn't have been that if he sucked at defending. So media is crap. They're always going to talk, especially English media. Everybody knows it. That's why independent media, that's why you gotta consume independent media, because there's stuff that comes down from the pipe and it's just dumb and everybody knows it.
Yeah, that was my read on Trent as well. That's the exact same thoughts I had with him. Was the more likely Liverpool is to win the league or be a contender in Champions League, the more likely he's going to stay and want to do that there. Anyway, so
one quick point about that. Here's the one kind of interesting thing. You can't have it both ways. Trent wants to be the captain of Liverpool. He said that many times. But a big part of being a captain is loyalty. So the question is, what rules Trent more? Is he ruled more by personal, or I would say selfish ambition, which is appropriate as an athlete? I'm not saying it's evil. Or is he ruled more by serving Liverpool? If Trent had an attitude of Liverpool first, Liverpool's always bigger than every player, I think he is a total shoo-in for the captain after Virgil. But as long as he's a flight risk because he wants to win trophies or whatever lines he wants to drop, well, who's going to make a captain like that? And then they might be gone the next year. Just a little side tidbit. You can't have it both ways.
Yeah, and I agree, Salah. I thought he was going to go to Saudi last summer, not this summer, but I agree that he seems very loyal, and I know he's I think he's 9th for all time leading goal scorer in Premier League, and by the end of the season he could be up there with Lampard and in I'm not sure. I was trying to find the chart while
I know the chart that you're talking about, and for me the highest person that he could get. Well, the big one is Henry, but
Henry and Lampard, those are the two he could be approaching by the end of the season.
Get Aguero though too. The guy could go and score 20 goals.
Yeah, just by the end of the season, he could be up with around Henry or Lampard area, and then if you win another season, so he could really climb that table. And I agree that for someone like that, I mean, he has all the money he ever needs, and I would think the same. So I have the same opinion on those, but I was.
And they keep getting money. The thing is, when they're done playing, it's not they're broke. They've got cushy jobs forever. They've got endorsements forever. They're ambassadors. To be an ambassador of a club like Liverpool, they how much money do you need? Unless you're doing Sadio Mane and you're literally buying hospitals, and like I don't know if you know about him, but he's like just the most philanthropic guy on earth. Unless you're doing that, come on, pick legend, pick legacy status. Don't be an Oscar for Brazil.
Yeah. The one, so I thought you sort of, Trent won that area of the pitch. Curtis Jones did his job. I thought Caicedo won his area, but the one mistake we made strategically, and I don't know, how much this happened naturally on the field, but because Palmer wasn't getting what he wanted in the middle of the field, he was drifting out more to the right as he sort of lives in that space between the right and the middle.
Yeah.
And if he's not able to get service in the center, he goes out to the right a little more, and in general just sort of crowded Madueke's space a little bit. And Madueke, when he had the opportunity, he had the pace and strength to really threaten. He took Roberts to the line a couple of times. I think he really
Yeah.
almost created a great assist one time, got a corner out of one, and I felt like if they had sort of just utilized that physical opportunity and sort of backed Palmer off and let Madueke have more space. And Madueke is this weird character because he drives people nuts because how he's so motivated to score himself and sort of looks selfish sometimes, but he's got this extreme belief. And he will just keep going. He will just go and go and go until he gets his goal. There was one, apparently Maresca had mentioned to him in training that he hadn't scored since like that hat trick day where he had the hat trick against the Wolves, and had been like a few weeks. And in that game, Madueke just was pounding at that side. I forget who it was even now, but he finally scored his goal, and he's like, he goes over to Maresca and gets in his face. He's like, and Maresca's laughing. He loves it. He's like, but Madueke just got that. He steps back because he gets a lot of stick from teammates and fans. Like he's too selfish. He needs to pass more, and he definitely needs to figure out when he needs to pass.
Yeah.
Instead of drive and shoot. He's definitely got a problem there, but it's also a problem that leads to him just getting a goal through sheer will. And I think if he had been given more time and space on that side, he would have created a goal either for himself or someone else. But so that was my biggest. And the other thing is, I thought Nkunku is pure class in tight spaces. He's about as good as it gets. And I thought he should have come on sooner to try to make something happen in that extremely tight, difficult defense Liverpool had set up. And when he got put on even, I thought he was going to score, but I don't think he had enough time to get into the game. But those were the two critiques I had. But overall, I thought, like you said, it's going to be a wild match in Stamford Bridge. I think the game got really physical, and it could be the start of I mean, I know they have history. I don't know if you want to go into history, but it's new coaches, all new team on Chelsea. So I think and we've got a few guys who like to get into stuff. If Nunez plays much in the next match at Stamford Bridge, it's going to get nasty because that guy loves to get into stuff. And him with a couple of our guys I think it might be the wildest match of the season for the Premier League.
And better have a good ref, man, because the thing is you have bullies in your team.
Yeah, we have a couple.
You have the most yellow cards last year, and you already have the most yellow cards this year. So you're a skillful team who also is very physical. Colwell just looks like a 6 out of 10 player. This is very athletic, and he's just like foul, 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 foul. It's just stupid. So in a big game with a more fair ref, he got lucky yesterday where that ref was kind of like, let him play unless Liverpool does it. Oh crap! A normal ref who sets the tone early is going to be like, hey, you're not going to get away with that crap today, because when you have two good teams that play against, you can't allow one team to just get away with all these fouls. And that's what, like, Newcastle a couple years ago, that's what they would do. They got all these good players. They're just fouling the crap out of people. It gets to a point where it's like, okay, it's the Premier League, it's tough, but this is getting stupid because now your most technical players can't even do what they're doing. Like, if you look at that Colwell thing, whether you disagree about it being a foul in Salah or not, it should have been a foul outside the box at the beginning of the play. It should have played advantage.
Well, it was a foul, but he played advantage, and once you play advantage, you can't go back and say it was a foul. So that's the problem. That's the conundrum he was in. But then, after sort of, the ref probably thinking, should I have given something? Colwell
Didn't
just
give
gave
something.
him the chance a few minutes later for the penalty. But it's
Right.
funny because Chelsea fans are upset at the ref because of not giving the penalty force where Sancho was stepped on. And I hate that call. I
Yep.
absolutely hate it. It's one of my least favorite calls because it's clearly an accident,
Yeah.
and it's like, it's part of the game. And 20 years ago it wasn't called, or 30 years ago, I don't.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like they call that all the time now, so that should have been a call. But I heard the Men in Blazers host was like, Chelsea fans, are upset because of the ref, and so I think on both sides people are upset. But I get your point. I see why Liverpool fans are upset because there were several calls where I thought he was going to call it on our guys, and
Well,
he didn't. There was like three calls where I was like, oh, that's a foul, and the one where he stepped on Reece James's foot, I thought that was not going to be a call, and then you had like the ball right there in our box. But so it was he was stretching, he was desperate, like he didn't know how to handle the game. I think because sometimes he's making calls that maybe he shouldn't have. Sometimes he wasn't making calls he should have made. And I think it's just going to be more wild at Stamford Bridge, especially
yeah,
if Nunez is playing.
dude, and
Nunez loves to get
he
into crap.
responds to the bullying. That's my
Oh,
point. If people are bullying, the team that he got a suspension on early, it was the same situation. It was Crystal Palace, and Crystal Palace are known to be bullies, and that's what they were doing. He wants to fight. It's like he wants to fight more than he
he
wants to
wants
play
to fight,
football.
dude.
So do you see the play where he got hit and then he's like, and he just like
Yeah,
falls
yeah,
back on the ground?
yeah.
That's his happy place.
I
That's his
know.
happy place. And the thing is, I kind of like it because what I've been surprised with is Nunez has not really started a lot for us. Obviously, Nunez is a talking point. Nunez, his potential is to be, really competing with Holland. But now everybody's kind of given up on that. But Liverpool's not giving up on that. And Slot was brought in. One of the requirements for Slot is to improve this guy. And look at how patient he's being with it. The pressure is off of Nunez. Nunez doesn't look like somebody who came in for $100 million. He looks like a Jackson. He looks like somebody that's just coming through and looking to make his point. He already scored a typical worldie,
Yeah,
weak foot worldie, by the way, this year. And he's doing all of the football things. He's pressing, he's running, he's making killer passes, he's calmer, he's making decisions. And what I really liked is the unity between him and Slot. Slot looked like he was feeling everything that Nunez was doing. So that I think tells you a lot about the relationship between Darwin and Slot, where I think Darwin would have come out that game and knowing his coach is very happy with him. And when you know what that's like emotions are such a huge part of it. When you know your coach is really happy with you and has your back, even when you're not scoring, whatever, well then that's just going to make you so much calmer and confident when it is time to score. It makes you want to reward that coach. So I'm very optimistic about Nunez, and I think Nunez, like, if Nunez played normal last year, we win the title, and I don't even think we really deserved it. I just think we were a good team, and I think we had a wonderful manager. But if Nunez's conversion rate is normal, I think we win the title, which is insane to say, but that's how big of a difference it is if he's scoring normal.
yeah, yeah. Well, first of all, when you say that's his happy place, that's 100%, dude. The guy loves football, loves getting out there and playing, but when he gets to get into a scuffle with someone, that's his happy place. That's where he's like, yes, finally. This is where, it's like he's waiting for that moment, and it's dangerous. I mean, he would fit in real well with some of our Chelsea guys.
Yeah,
But
yeah, he really would. And the thing is, I think that he does look a little more controlled this year, where he's kind of like, I'm happy, I want to get here, but I'm not going to ruin it for my team. Yeah, and I think he's had a couple kids too. It just makes a
he
difference.
also had the situation over there where he got into a fight with fans, and
Right.
maybe that's helped him to realize I need to step back. But no, I think we talked about this a lot last year. I see him very similar to Jackson. Well, first of all, I think he's the biggest attacking threat I'm concerned at Liverpool, or even across the league aside from Holland. I think he's got everything, and he's got everything at a top tier level. I think he wants it a little bit too much. He doesn't have quite the calmness and composure where he goes 110% when you need to go 100%, or to be
Yeah.
realistic, he goes 100% when you should go like 95% to not hit the bar. I mean, he hit the bar or crossbar 3 times against us. I think last time when we played last season, and I. I think it's just that little tiny bit, and I said it reminded me a lot of Jackson, where I think Jackson got everything to be top class striker, but he just had to refine his finishing. Like, he just had to convert more of those chances he created for himself. And I see Nunez in the same way. I would be upset that he's not playing more, but at the same time, Diaz is playing amazing. He had a lot of chances that he didn't convert. So I understand it, but he's an extreme threat, and I still think at one point he's going to be your leading attacker and scorer. But
Yeah, I think that the ethos in the team, once Slot set that starting 11, I think that it's pretty much like, here it is. It doesn't mean you guys on the bench suck. It's a long season, but it's really going to be a logical reason for you to come in. Like, somebody gets injured, somebody absolutely sucks, which hasn't happened. We're at the top of the league. Obviously, nobody's really sucking. Or you guys are absolutely killing it and taking your chances, which Gakpo has. When you come in,
Gakpo's another one. Like, his Euros with Netherlands, like, it's hard not to feel robbed, and it's great man management that these guys are happy and happy to come off the bench, because they could both be like, why am I not starting?
Right. And that's what you want. You want the people coming off your bench not to be like, yay, here's my cameo. You want people coming off the bench being like, I got a point to prove, why am I not starting? That's exactly what you want as a top team. So I think Nunez can do it. And just about Nunez and Haaland, I think Nunez is better than Haaland in literally every single way, except for dominant mentality. Haaland is a Viking. Haaland plays like a dad playing with his children. Yeah. And I have a lot of children. They can have more skill than me. They can be faster than me. I'm your dad. I'm going to win. I'm going to bully you. I'm going to shoot. I'm going to shoot harder. I know I'm going to score. Yeah. You're a little crap. And that's what Haaland has. Nunez doesn't have that. Nunez is like a little impetuous kid. But I think Nunez is faster. He can shoot better. Left foot, right foot, header. And if you look, Haaland does fluff chances. But he's a system that is so psychotic that Raheem, horrible final ball snake Sterling, had over 20 goals a year. That is how sick their system is. So they can take somebody like Haaland and it's just a cog in a wheel.
Yeah, no, I think you got the psychology of it really. I think that's the key for me as well. And I think Nunez, like you said, he's not that dad figure who's like, I know I'm going to score. He's like, I just have to do a little bit more and I'm going to score. And that little bit more constantly ends up hitting a pole or a crossbar or something, or just doing something slightly wrong because he's just trying too hard to prove himself. Yeah. And it's like no, dude, just step back, compose yourself, and do it a little easier, But
isn't grasping at straws every shot, and like you said, Haaland benefits greatly from the systems he's in because that system gets him very high quality chances. Well, that's something that the hard thing with Nunez is I think Slot's system will produce better chances for him because it's a more passing mastermind type system. The problem is when he's not getting a lot of playing time, he isn't getting time for him to play his part in that system. So with Jota maybe injured, with Chiesa, who looks like a baller, by the way, we're not even talking about. Watch out.
We got a lot of players we're not talking about today. We'll get to them.
But hopefully with those two people on the mend, if Darwin can just get a little bit of a run in the team to get used to the system, because I don't think he needs what the people think like he needs 99 chances to score. I don't think so. I think a calm Darwin is everybody's worst nightmare. They know it. If you look at the goals he scored against Real Madrid, back heel flicks and stuff, like he's got it all. Side note, he's born on the same day as Lionel Messi. And on the Chinese year as well. He's born actually 12 years later to the day. So, whatever your beliefs are,
if he could compose himself just slightly, I think he scares me more than Holland. He's got that ridiculous pace. He presses like a monster if he wants to. He can do everything. He can shoot. I just think he needs a slight bit of composure, and that is one thing Jackson benefited from because we didn't get Osimhen or someone else. He got to sit in his role. He's been able to sit in his role as the lead strike as the starting striker and Nkunku has like a case for why he should. He's got 7 goals. He's an amazing finisher, but Jackson does so much running and so much off the ball. But because he's been comfortable, he's been able to settle a little bit. And now 5 goals in 8 games, 3 assists as well. He's converting his chances that he should convert instead of being well below his XG. So anyway, but at this time last year, I told you, I think it was around this time last year, I thought Liverpool was the best team in the league and they were going to win the league. I was obviously wrong, and I was honestly surprised at how Liverpool sort of just fell apart when it was all in your control. Like in the second half of the season, you got to a point where all you had to do was win your remaining games and you won the league, and you absolutely fell apart.
So no gas in the tank. Klopp announcing him leaving totally took the wind out of the sails.
Well, this was a while after that. I feel like when Klopp announced it, you guys did great for a little while, and then just crashed. And of course,
I think it was like honor him, but it's draining.
Yeah,
it's draining. And then knowing your manager is leaving, you have this great manager, he's leaving. It's like
Salah had the month where he fasted, and he sort of got a little bit he was a little bit off. But I also think he felt a special kind of pressure with Klopp and a special kind of connection, and maybe even like a feeling of
grief,
like betrayal, like he's leaving us when we're not leaving yet. I don't know, but anyway, something happened, and it just fell apart at the end. But City did what City does. But again, to me, Liverpool looks like the best team in the league. We'll see what that means, but I'm happy we had a good head-to-head. I'm looking forward to revenge in London. But yeah, that's the show. Any final thoughts?
No, that's great. This is our first show. Nobody's watching it. It was fun having it, and I look forward to doing more. We'll get it dialed in. Let us know in the comments, all you subscribers. Please let us know sort of things you want us to talk about, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Subscribe away. Get down there. All you thousands of followers on our first video.
That's fun.
Yeah. We might have 5. How many friends you got?
I'll send it to my friends. I'll try to get friends.
All right. Thanks.
Sweet. All right. Peace, buddy.